Hello, my
Hello.
name's Hope Wild, and I am a Agents of Change youth rep.
Okay.
And I have Mark with us, who's going to talk about his justice journey. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mark?
Hello, I'm Mark. I'm a Methodist minister working in Chessington, near the World of Adventures in the southwest of London, Greater London.
Awesome. Can you tell us about your artifact?
Well, I brought along a pic. Can I show you?
Yeah.
I brought along a piece of cloth.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's a very lovely piece of cloth. And in 1998, when I used to work for the Methodist Youth, we ran a campaign that year called Big Mouth of Burma. And we had Jo Brand, wonderfully, was the celeb who helped us. And she was great. And she did a great video for us. And we were supporting the justice movement in Burma, Myanmar. And because of that, but not at the time, because of that, some years later, when I worked in for the connectional team still, I was sent to Burma to be part of a conference there, the Methodist conference in Burma. As a consequence, we were sent around to preach. And it was under a military rule at the time, and the young people were really oppressed. Particularly the Christian community, and I'm sure also the Muslim community, that we didn't know about those at the time. But the Christian community were oppressed. They had no chance of going on with their education. And it was partly to be with them and see them that I went. And when we were there, I went shopping and I bought this. Well, I had this bought for me, actually. And it is actually what men wear for posh. And you wear it as, there's nothing attached to it. There's a very clever way of doing it. You have to tie it around your waist and hope it stays up. So as I was preaching at this youth meeting, the two things I remember very clearly. One is I was wearing that and it kept slipping. And I thought, oh my Lord, these poor innocent young people are going to see me with my naked knees and it's going to be too much for them. And the other thing was I was wanting to be very, very careful about what I said. And you could see in the congregation people who were in the Secret Service. And you could tell that because they were the only people in the room who were well off, and they got clean, sharp shirts on and pens. They stood out like a sore thumb in this, mainly young people of very, very poor people in Myanmar. And so I knew they were there, so I was very careful what I said. And I chose, I thought, a nice pastoral, gentle, soothing kind of message. And I think I preached on, come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden. I thought, that's so nice. These young people are struggling away. And the moment I started, I thought, flipping heck, these words are dynamite. If you are oppressed and imprisoned unfairly, you have no rights, you'll never get to college or university, you'll probably end up as a labourer, which is fine, but that's your only job and it's badly paid. And I thought, come unto me, all you weary. This is really political. And it occurred to me then that the gospel, and that even the most pastoral gospel, is radical and political if it's in a certain environment. And so if you are oppressed because of gender or sexuality or because of race, because of the color of your skin, because of your political party, whatever, name the thing that people oppress people for, the gospel is dynamite. It can't just be soothing. So that was really important to me, both the sense that any minute now, my knees were going to be revealed. And secondly, these secret police are going to be listening to the translation, because it was all translated for me, are going to think, this bloke's a radical. And I thought, oh dear. That's my memory. And it was a Big Mouth for Burma in 1998. We did the youth did this big campaign, and we had young people from around the country wrote into their MPs And we got so many young people wrote in to their MP that we had questions in the House of Parliament. We were so impressed. All these young people wrote in and said, what are you doing about Myanmar and the injustice in Myanmar? Why are we still investing in the country and propping up the junta, the political people? And the young people got really active, and they got questions in the Houses of Commons.
Wow, that's so amazing.
It is, isn't it? It is amazing.
Awesome. How do you think this artifact symbolizes your faith and your justice journey?
Well, I think I'm a preacher. That's my job, you know. So you're preaching the gospel, and you think, you know, you can be really soothing and miss the point most of the time, but it's got power. It's got its own power. You don't have a choice about that. So it's something, you know, my calling as a human being, the particular thing that I'm invited to do, which is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to be a good human being. But I have this calling to preach. And so it sums up that journey, but it's inextricably bound up with the Micah journey of what does God require of you? That you love justice, you are merciful, that you're kind. You can't have some Christians would say a social gospel, which is about politics, and a goodness gospel, which is all about morality. They're the same thing. And God, I think, wants us to speak to those who are in prison, or those who are persecuted or marginalized, whatever. And that's really important for those who want to talk about personal salvation, which is important, but it's not the bee's knees. The gospel is all about the salvation of the human race, of creation itself. I think that's both your questions in one, I think.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been so amazing. I found your story is so fascinating about how much of an impact that had, and it's awesome. Thank you for sharing your story.
There was one other thing that burns in me about justice, and I don't know whether just a question. Jesus went around doing good, says that in Acts, but he was almost more noticeably one who went around letting people do things to him, whether it was death and crucifixion, or whether it was letting them teach him a lesson. He got taught by people, whether it was them giving him hospitality and looking after him, or washing his feet, or whatever. He was a fantastic receiver. And one of the things we got wrong, I think, and I'm growing, is that when you want to do good, you want to help, then you don't want to be just the person who's got all the answers and you've got all the strength and all the goodness. You need to ask humbly and quietly, what do people want us to do? What can they do? How can they help? What's their contribution? I don't mean to exploit, but what do they want to give? And I think there's this reciprocity, this sense of mutualness in the gospel, where we're invited to be good receivers and be graceful as to what people give to us. So I'm just thinking about that. How does that fit into justice? And if we go in patronizingly as the great white saviors from the West, or the great saviors of the West of any color, how do we listen to what the local people are doing, and what in Myanmar, what the young people were doing? You know, we waltzed in and thought we were doing good, but actually we got Burma wrong looking back on it, because the person we were supporting turns out to be, you know, not so positive. Aung San Suu Kyi, if you know the story. So that's my additional question, thought, reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Hope.
Thank you so much.